Sabres defeat the defending Stanley Cup champions 3-0. Alex, the Lion King, gets his first shutout as a Sabre. 32 saves, hands down the best player for Buffalo through the first 4 games. 5 games now. Sorry, 5 games now. Can't be denied. Absolutely great performance from Buffalo, top to bottom. And I said it during the game. If you would give that effort for every single game this season, you'd be undefeated. Hurls, your thoughts? And we don't have Hurls. He is muted for some reason. Gotta unmute your mic there, bud. We gotta get through these technical problems to start the season. Not sure what's going on.
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, and you're coming in kind of blurry. Not sure what's going on.
Well, I look clear on my end, so hopefully that figures stuff out.
I'm not too sure what's going on. There's no echoing this time, right? No echoing. We're good.
No echo, no.
No good. Okay, that sounds good to me. Yeah.
I was gonna say though, real quick, is that obviously they look a lot better, and I think that these types of games should be the standard, right?
Right.
But in no way do I think that if they played like this every single game, would they go undefeated? You know what I mean? I think that's like probably unreal. It's unrealistic to say because puck luck happens
through the first 5 games.
No.
I'm saying through the first 5 games.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know. I think they just didn't have it, obviously, the first 3, and then it's tough to say moving forward. But I think this is the style they wanted to play going into the year. And then even this game is different from Wednesday, right? Like, they won an 8-4 game on Wednesday, and they just shut out the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champions. So they've showed in 2 straight games that they can win in 2 different ways, which I think is the best sign of the entire day.
I couldn't agree with you more. Just to kind of give you guys just an overview of like I tweeted it out too, like hardest working team in hockey. Like that's what they've looked like the last 2 games. Because make no mistake about it, I really don't think they didn't win tonight on skill. You know what I mean? They won tonight on hard work. They wanted it more. They were more desperate. They played harder. They got the Florida to take penalties. They finally look like a power play that's they look cohesive. They're moving their feet. They're moving the puck. They're not just trying to feed it to Tage. They're getting pucks through the net, and it's working in their favor. Something that we've had issues with when it comes to this team for quite some time now. And again, make no mistake about it. Again, we're just 5 games in. We've beaten 2 very injury riddled teams, but regardless, we've been dealing with our own injuries. And secondly, even with the injuries, these were still good hockey teams. There were still good players out there for them. But again, you have to win those games regardless. Doesn't matter what your injury report looks like. You have to win those games, and they did both games decisively.
2 straight games with no Tkachuk brothers is very convenient. That's for sure. Those are guys that thrive in these types of games. You saw what Brad Marchand tried to do in the I guess that was the second period to Rasmus Dahlin, and I think he tried to do that to give his team a spark. They didn't galvanize him, they didn't have much of a spark. I think he was trying to rally the guys a little bit in a sense that giving them that playoff atmosphere, giving them that playoff edge that they've obviously succeeded in time and time again over the past 2 years. And I mean, they outshot the Sabres tonight, but I do think the Sabres had the better looks and chances throughout the game. They obviously converted on 3 of those, especially on the power play. Josh Doan in front of the net has changed that unit night and day. Him being in that position, as we've spoken about so many times, getting to those tough areas. Even Alex Tuck did the other night. But Tage, almost on purpose, putting it towards the net in Josh Doan's shin pads and deflecting off Doan's shin pads and into the net. Obviously, against a really good goalie in Bobrovsky, he can't do anything about that. But that's what you have to do against a good goalie like Bobrovsky and Shesterkin, is throw it to the net, throw it at shin pads, bang it in, and get a dirty goal. Lindy's talked a lot about it, and it's what this team is going to need to do. Obviously, they'll have their pretty goals every now and then, as they did the other night, and as they even did tonight on the third goal, which was one of the nicest plays I've seen them make in a really, really long time, with Ryan McLeod to Tuck to Krebs, back to Tuck, no look pass to Power on the back door. That is beautiful, beautiful hockey. But it doesn't always need to be like that. There doesn't need to be this perfect play on a 2-on-1. Just get it to the net, get a rebound, bang it in, and your team's going to be better off.
Yeah, again, I can't agree with you more. Josh Doan. I mean, when you hear Lindy talk about things like you want to be hard to play against, you want teams that like hate going into a corner with a, when you're in, especially when you're in your barn, you always want them looking over your shoulder when you're in front of your own net, when you're in front of their net. You want guys on your team to just make it hell, for the opponent. Josh Doan exemplifies that. And there's some skill there too. Like, I don't know if there's any player comparisons that come to mind for you when you think of Josh Doan, but like, holy cow. I'll say this, when Kesselring gets back, and if they're both playing at the level, well, especially him, I don't think Sabres fans were fully expecting to get this from Josh Doan this early, but he, in my opinion, after Alex Lyon, maybe you could slot some in there, has been their second or third most important player. Maybe you can talk about Zach Benson there too, in both these wins.
Yeah, I mean, they've changed the course of the season, at least to consider how the first 3 games went in terms of their toughness and their ability to get to the front of the net and play creation, chance creation, shot creation. It's been, I mean, Josh Doan had 2 goals tonight and neither went off his stick. So that says all you need to know the type of player he is and the areas that he gets to. If you read Fairbairn's article over the summer on Josh Doan, that's exactly the type of player that was described in terms of how good he is at forechecking, being a nuisance. Everyone talks about Zach Benson being like a water bug, and he's always around the puck. He's always trying to create some type of turnover, lift a stick. That's exactly what Josh Doan does. And it's a completely different type of player than JJ Peterka. Peterka is obviously very good at going off the rush, using his speed, and using his elite shot to score goals, which he did at a consistent clip for 2-3 straight years. But getting to the tough areas, being sound, being good defensively, being a two-way player up and down the ice, 180 feet, 200 feet, whatever you want to call it, that's not necessarily what Peterka did. And credit to Kevin Adams for not only identifying a player like Josh Doan that may not score as many goals as JJ Peterka, but the way that he plays will create more goals for other people and for himself if he gets to the right areas. And then you add Kesselring to that, who obviously hasn't played yet. But if you put him on a line with a deep pair with Power, who, in my opinion, has looked pretty good. I didn't watch the Bruins game, but the past 2 games, I think he's looked pretty good, especially in front of his own net. I think that is going to turn out to be another really good hockey trade from Kevin Adams. And as much flack as he gets, if this works out and it gets them into a position to compete this season, that's another feather in his cap that people might be frustrated about, but you got to look at it for what it is. And so far, so good.
Yeah. Funny comment here. And I think you might have to come out of the room and come back in, Connor. You're so blurry. Your witness protection. And I just checked the YouTube channel and you are. So maybe come back out and come back in and we'll finish up. Yeah, listen, it's Owen Power too. Even Owen Power has been great, to say the least. Like, he has really excelled over the past couple of games. I don't know if I use the word excelled, but I think the knock on him, so far in his career, he's not willing to be physical. He doesn't engage in situations where he needs to be physical. And I mean, he's been involved in 2 scrums so far since starting the season. He hasn't shied away from it. So I think that in particular is worth noting too. And maybe hopefully it's something more to come. I hope.
Better.
So we got him back. No, you are not. I'm not sure if it's your internet connection or what, bud, but it's
what the fuck. All right,
I don't know what's going on.
I'll get my phone. You're back.
All right, yeah. I figure that out. So until then, we'll wait on him to get back. But it's been even Matthias Samuelsson Matthias Samuelsson has looked like a, NHL defenseman. He's been physical. He's playing strong in front of his own net in the blue paint. You find yourself swearing a lot less when it comes to Matthias Samuelsson, to say the least. And as we wait for Connor to get back in here, for me, it all goes back to the working hard. Because I don't think, and I've said it a couple times, this team isn't going to be a team that is going to beat you with skill, is going to beat you with, tenacity. You know what I mean? Like, yep, there we go. We got him back. We're rolling. Perfect. But I was just saying, while you were gone, like, Owen Power and Matthias Samuelsson have looked like NHL. Well, Matthias Samuelsson, we all know Owen Power offensively has been great, throughout his career. But the knock on Power has always been, can he be physical? Can he play to his size? And have you had much to complain about Owen Power defensively and in that part of the game at all? Have you had much to complain about?
No, not at all. They mentioned on the broadcast today, not only Power, but also Samuelsson, is that I think one of the best things you can say about him so far, or at least, is this his second game or was this his first game tonight?
I think this was his first game back, right? Somebody in the chat might be able to, correct us on that. And while I brought that up too with Samuelsson. Samuson's just looked like an NHL defenseman. Well, he hasn't really given you much to complain about in the games he has played in.
Well, they said it tonight that the best thing you can say about a defenseman like him is that they haven't noticed him, that they haven't had anything to complain about in terms of his defensive responsibility, where he was in front of the net. Obviously, his toughness. He had a couple plays protecting Alex Line, getting a guy out of his way. That's what we thought we were getting in Matthias Samuelsson when they signed him to that deal after that stretch of games he had at the beginning of his career. Of course, the elephant in the room is if he can stay healthy. And
Agreed.
None of this matters if he can't stay on the ice. And he has yet to prove that till this point. So I'll hold my breath for a little bit in terms of the consistency and getting it to a level where it's sustainable. But I'll look at it for the games that he does play and that he does perform. And a game like tonight is exactly what you need from him.
Agreed. And we've always said it about Power. Like, you just don't need him to be some bruising defenseman who's going to go out there and, fight people and throw massive hits, but just play like you're 6'6", right? Like, play it to your size. And I think that's what we've gotten from him so far.
Yeah, I think, 3 games in, obviously not the biggest sample size, but
no, definitely not.
You saw tonight, but like you even saw what he does extremely well on his goal, getting to the back door, joining the rush. That's never been a concern for anybody, or at least anybody that actually knows ball, that Owen Power is a very, very good offensive defenseman. He just needs to round out his game to the point where he's not a liability in front of his own net, and he uses his frame a little bit more than he has in the past. Even in the Ottawa game the other night, I saw a couple people tweeting about how he got into that scrum in front of the Senators bench. And in the past, he might have not necessarily thrown his weight around. Krebs, of course, came in there and defended him a little bit, as he does. But it showed some toughness. It showed some grit, and it showed something that we haven't necessarily seen from him throughout his career. So having that edge to his game, having that toughness is going to bring Owen Power to the next level. And I'm super excited. I can't wait to dunk on everybody when Owen Power becomes one of the better defensemen in the NHL, because there's people who are they don't know hockey in the sense that it takes people, especially someone as young as Owen Power, a little bit of time to develop. It takes him, and not every single defenseman is going to be Kel McCarr. Not every single defenseman is going to be Quinn Hughes. Not every single defenseman is even going to be as quick as Dahlin was. It's going to take some time. Obviously, he has the number 1 overall pedigree, but the guy has every single tool that you need. It's getting that aptitude, getting that experience to become the well-rounded defenseman that I believe that he's going to turn into.
I agree. We've talked so much about Power, over the past year and a half, just kind of the frustrations with his game and just, it always kind of came back to the same thing. Just, boxing guys out, being good in front of your own nut, rubbing guys out along the boards, again, not being that big bruising defenseman. You don't have to throw hip checks. You don't have to throw massive open ice hits, but just, play to your size, look like, I guess like some of the comparisons that were made out of him coming out of his draft were like Victor Hedman, right? You don't see Victor Hedman be that guy. He's not the big bruising. I keep on saying that word, bruising defenseman who throws massive hits and people are terrified to, play against, but he is just such a good defenseman in his own end. And he adds so much offensive flair. And maybe this is just shades. He's gaining confidence and he's playing with some swagger. And maybe it's all it's going to take, and maybe again, we haven't even seen him play with Kesslering yet. Hopefully that's right around the corner.
Yeah, I think Timmins has been really good to start the year as well. They put a lot of responsibility on both him and Power in terms of ice time. I was just trying to check what that was. So we had Power with 23 minutes, Timmins with 24 minutes, Dahlin with 22. So Power and Timmins had more ice time than Dahlin tonight, and Byram had 24. Obviously, changes because Bryson went out of the game pretty early with an injury. But these highlights. But yeah, I mean that's a pretty good responsibility. Oh my God, I hate videos that play automatically. Jesus, it's so annoying.
We're gonna get copyrighted now. But
so
no,
but like Timmins, another one, of course. Timmins specifically, haven't really noticed him, which kind of what I want to see. Kind of what I want to see from Connor Timmins for the rest of the year, or not see. Just be the defensively responsible third pairing defenseman that he's eventually going to be, and us getting back to that 3-pair system that we thought we were going to have going into the season. Obviously, I don't think any of us have to worry about Byram and Dahlin. Power so far obviously has looked pretty good. He's shown his offensive upside combined with a little bit more defensive responsibility. And then you put Samuelsson and Timmins in a third pairing role where they will have less pressure, less minutes, less like responsibility in terms of going against first or second line guys. That's going to turn into a really good third pair. And I think that's exactly what they envisioned going into this year. But as we said, the elephant in the room is everybody staying healthy.
100%. And again, I've personally said it quite a bit. This season was really, and this roster is really built around hope, and it's just not sustainable. It's 82 games. Next year will be 84. You're not going to be able to keep all your guys healthy, especially with the way some of these guys play. You see Brad Marchand. Let's talk about that for a second, by the way. And I'll bring up that highlight here in a moment. But how about Brad Marchand just being a giant scumbag?
Well, I guess are we at all surprised Brad Marchand
No.
did that? And I think that really speaks to the type of hockey player he is. I think he gets away with these types of things because he appears to be like a really cool guy off the ice, and he gives a good soundbite. He provides a good clip. Even that's going to go viral, and that's going to be something that the NHL can oh, look at this guy, he's so feisty, he's so cheeky. But at the end of the day, what he did on the ice today deserves a suspension, in my opinion.
No doubt about it.
Not necessarily the helmet thing, because that was just childish, but the way that he wasn't able to cohesively or even in a mature way respond. It was a cross check. How many times in the course of an NHL game does what Rasmus Dahlin did to Brad Marchand happen? And how many times has that happened to him in his career? And I will say this, and I remember this from the time that Marchand spent with the Bruins. He's always had a thing for Dahlin. It's always been a thing between those two. He's gone after him in so many different instances when the Sabres have played against Brad Marchand. I think for some reason, it's probably the number one overall thing. It's probably how everybody talks about Dahlin. He doesn't want to give him that respect on the ice, but he's always gone after him. And for him to respond to a simple cross-check with a sucker punch and getting on top of him and punching him in the face, that just, to me, felt completely uncalled for, and it felt like something that doesn't necessarily belong in our game.
No, definitely not. And again, I said this and I tweeted this, and obviously imagine if that was Matthew Tkachuk doing that too, by the way. Like how much worse that really could have been. That was just like 5'9" Brad Marchand. Imagine if that was like Matthew Tkachuk. And that's why I tweeted out, I'm actually grateful that we have a guy like Mason Gearston, because I don't want Josh Doan being the guy to answer that. I don't want, I don't want Alex Tuch or Rasmus Dahlin or Tage Thompson. That's why I'm grateful for sometimes you do have, even if he plays 4 minutes on the fourth line and you're double shifting somebody in your bottom six to fill that spot throughout the game. Having that guy on the bench, granted, I don't think he was going to go after Brad Marchand. We made him pay for it on the power play 32 seconds in. But that's why I'm grateful to have that guy, because if that was Matthew Tkachuk or Keegan Colasar or fill in the blank, Matt Rempe, I'm just glad that somebody's out there that can go out there and cave his face in.
Yeah, I mean, nice to have it in the game tonight, but Mason Gearston's not going to play every game this season. And ideally, when Jordan Greenway is healthy, he will be that guy. He also, like Matthias Samuelsson, hasn't proved throughout his NHL career that he can stay on the ice. So you can't rely on him to do that. And when Greenway's out, yeah, Gearston can be that role. But I don't know. I think that the need for strictly just an enforcer role on an NHL team has gone by the way of the past. Even Matt Rempe, like, he has that and he gets in fights, but he also plays more minutes than you would expect, or even typical enforcers did in the past. I don't think you're going to reserve a spot for Mason Gearston on your bench throughout the season. They need to find, and even Rob Ray said it late in the game, like, there's going to be scrums. Guys need to help each other out and not just have it be one guy, not just have it be Alex Tuch or Peyton Krebs. They cohesively need to work together to protect each other and know that when a hit like that happens or a play like that happens, who was the first person to jump on Brad Marchand tonight? It was Tage Thompson. The guy who everybody was.
I just don't want it to be Tage.
No, of course, but like that's the team atmosphere that exists
I agree.
when you're tough to play against. And in no way was Tage putting himself in harm's way by getting this rat off Dahlin's back as he was sucker punching him on the ice as he was in the turtle position. So I don't know. I think that it needs to be a team approach and they need to support each other. And this all goes back to that Tage Thompson hit. I forget who it even was last season, but obviously
it was against New Jersey, I think.
Yeah, I forget the name of the guy. Siegenthaler, maybe.
Maybe somebody in the chat that might remember can let us know. But
I think it was Siegenthaler. Either way, like, the response to that, I think has been good, and I think the team understands that if they see that type of situation on the ice, they're just going to protect each other no matter what.
And to answer the question, what did Gearston do for the 10-minute misconduct? It might have been, probably third man in or something?
He was chirping the bench. I saw it online.
Oh, was it? Okay. I didn't see it. I was watching the first half of the game from the gym on my phone while I was riding the exercise bike. So I might have missed that. But
from what I saw, it seemed as though it was like, why do you need to do that in this situation? Which is fine. I don't necessarily care. But yeah, apparently he was just talking shit to the Panthers bench, which sends a message in itself, as long, obviously, as it doesn't become a 2 and a 10 or a 5-minute major penalty and he just has to sit down himself for 10 minutes. Like, that is what it is. I don't necessarily care about that. But yeah, I mean, especially the past 2 games, it's a team that has played with grit, that has played with toughness, and they've also had a good amount of skill, which, if you have both of those things existing at the same time, as Alex Lyon said, that's a fragile baby bird that you need to hold on to and keep with you as much as you can for the rest of the season.
I love that. Absolutely love that. How long do we continue to rely on Alex Lyon to be this guy? How much longer can we realistically kind of push him to continue up with this pace and playing like this? Because Lindy loves to ride a hot goalie, no doubt about it,
for sure.
But at some point you have to. I know there was. I know UPL is going to probably get a rehab start at some point here in Rochester. I mean, do they go to Colton Ellis? Do they call up Devin Levi? Because personally, like, I don't know if I'm comfortable. I imagine Alex Lyon will. When's the next game after this?
I have a prediction for how next week is going to go. I think So the next game is Monday in Montreal. Obviously, Lion will play that. Game after that is at home in Detroit on Wednesday. So no back-to-back against his former team from last season. He's going to play that game. Game after that is at home against the Maple Leafs. Obviously, you want your starting goalie playing at home against the Maple Leafs. And the first back-to-back of the season is Saturday, a week from tonight, in Toronto. I think it's happened at least a couple times now where they've called Devin Levi to play a game in Toronto on a back-to-back. So I believe, and I think that Colton Ellis is the backup right now just because they need somebody there and they want Devin Levi to get the games in Rochester and continue his development. I believe that they will call up Levi for that back-to-back a week from tonight in Rochester. Yeah.
I think you're right, man, because like he's 2-1 right now with Rochester. They won last night. They beat Utica. I think it was 7-4. But Levi, for all intents, didn't have a bet. It was kind of like that Colorado game, that Lion had, where he let 4 goals in, but Utica was putting the pressure on quite early in that game, and Levi came up with some huge saves. And then they scored 5 goals. They were down 2-0, and then they scored 5 unanswered goals in the first period, and ended up winning 7-4. But I think you're right. I think that the play there, and Lindy Ruff did just do a podcast too. I think in like the last 48 hours, and the topic of Devin Levi did come up, and I meant to post that earlier. I might do it later, but where he was asked specifically about Devin Levi and the team's confidence. He says, "Yeah, we think very highly of him. We think that he has the potential to be the franchise goalie for this team, but you need him to face shots. You need him to get games. And right now again, he didn't say it directly, but like with how Alex Lyon's playing, like even with the UPL injury, how can you honestly bring him up and expect to play him with the way Alex is playing right now?" And that's not a shot against Devin.
No, and this is also not a shot against Colton Ellis. No. It's just the fact that he hasn't played in an NHL game. Yeah. And he's been with the team for like 3 weeks. So currently, I think he's basically residing as the emergency backup, right? Obviously, UPL's injured. Georgiev's, I guess he's still with Rochester. Levi's getting the bulk of the games down there. And they haven't had to yet face a back-to-back this season. So as it currently stands, as long as UPL's not ready to go within the next week, which I can't imagine he would be, that makes me think that exact situation is going to happen next week, provided obviously something doesn't happen with Lion or they get blown out or whatever. I really do believe he gets the 3 during the week, and then in the back-to-back in Toronto, they'll call up Levi and he'll get that game.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, we've said this too, just the calmness Alex has brought to this team, kind of letting them offensively loosen up a little bit, knowing that you have somebody that can be back there that you can depend on to bail you out with a save when you need him to. And we saw that in the past when we did have good hockey teams with Miller and Hatch. Before that, you have guys that have said that, like, yeah, go out there, take chances. I'm here to bail you out. Maybe it's not a direct quote, but like that's the vibe I feel like from this team. Just the willingness to finally move puck up the ice and not play so timid, not be conservative. That has been something that has really bitten this team in the ass when they have had leads in the past, is they just get conservative because maybe they just don't trust the guy back there to come up with the big save when they need it. But right now, man, Alex Lyon has just been a brick wall. What's that Walrus's name from the one insurance company? That's what he's been for them.
I will say, though, in the third period tonight, especially with a 3-0 lead, where teams in the past would have just gone into a shell, and they would have these Sabre teams of the past. Obviously, we saw it with the 2 Avalanche games last year. They, I think, actually executed a conservative defensive approach in the third period. They didn't give up many high danger chances. It wasn't very difficult for Alex Lyon. He had a few pretty good saves, but it wasn't anything insane. And I would say that for most of the game, like there weren't too many crazy opportunities that he had to make these ridiculous saves. He's had to in the first 4 games, and he obviously came up with them more times than he didn't. I think he was 12th in the league in goals saved above expected going into this game today. And I don't think, I'd like to see the statistics on it, but like
the Panthers didn't have that many high danger chances today. And I think Line will probably say it himself after the game that his defense and the forwards worked together to put him into the best position to succeed, to get a relatively easy shutout. I think he had a few good like tip glove saves in front, like coming off a tip. And I remember one in, I think it was the third period, where he even had the glove like basic, the tough shot is like right above your shoulder under the
those are tough
crossbar.
saves to make, man.
Yeah, and he was able to get his glove there and windmill it a little bit, which I always love to see. But
Never hate a good windmill glove save.
And yeah, and like it, I think, but there weren't too many of those, and that's like a classic shutout in the sense where like, yeah, like I felt good tonight, I felt strong, I felt confident, but my team put me in the best position to succeed, and I honestly do believe that was the case.
Yep. Power play this season, as of right now, they're 5 for 18 after starting 0 and 11. By the way, for 27.8%, they're now 5th in the NHL, and the PK is number 1 in the NHL, 22 for 23. It's
so 5 of the last 7
have gone
in the last 2 games. That's pretty good. Obviously, they're not going to keep that up, but
no,
I think Rob Ray and Dunleavy said it on the broadcast tonight that after those first 3 games, the coaching staff, credit to them, obviously they've also gotten a lot of flack, deservedly so, for last season and how it looked to begin the year. But they said sometimes you just need to see one go in, and you need to know that you're able to convert in a situation like that. And so far in these past 2 games, they've seen 5 go in, and they've seen pucks go in off. So it was the Zucker play that went off his arm into the net. Doan today goes off his shin pad, and then he also redirected off his skate into the net for both of his 2 goals. So 2 of the 5 goals have not gone off a stick.
Yep.
And that's exactly
just getting yourself into that
the type of goal you want.
Yeah, like not like me and you both said it to start the season, man. Like you don't have to make it look pretty. Nobody expects goals and wins for this team to look pretty this season. But at the end of the day, like if you put yourself in those positions, and how many times back in the day with like the first stint with Lindy Ruff, did you see goals like that go in, like off of Mike Greer or Jochen Hecht or Jochen Hecht? Like me and my buddy Billy used to make fun of Jochen all the time because like he would do nothing in games, be unnoticeable, like nothing, and we just start ripping him, and then he'd like score from on the goal line in the corner. Like just throwing pucks on net. Nothing has to look pretty. Nothing ever needs to look pretty. But that's what this team, if they want to keep up this pace and keep winning and put themselves in a position to grab a wild card spot, that's the way this team is, the way it's built is going to do it.
Monday's going to be a good test. The Canadians look like maybe an accelerated version of where the Sabres are in their rebuild. They kind of skipped a couple steps in terms of a team that obviously it was the COVID year, but they at least played for a Stanley Cup and then broke it all down. Obviously had the number 1 overall pick with Slavkovsky, and they've, in my opinion, handled it as good as you could possibly imagine for a team going through a rebuild. So I think Monday on the road in that type of environment, which I don't know if you saw the both tying and game-winning goals in Montreal the other night. Lane Hudson blocked an empty net goal, and then stretch pass up to Caulfield, short side, ties the game. Suzuki gets a turnover, gets it over to Caulfield in overtime, and they win 3-2 in overtime. And that crowd, it's like a bucket list for me to watch a hockey game in the Bell Center in Montreal, but it sounded like a playoff atmosphere. And given the way that team is going right now, I think that's probably what it will be on Monday night. And it's going to be a true test for this group who, especially, I guess it's gone back and forth from year to year, but they have struggled on the road. I think they did last year specifically. So we'll see what happens. But I am super, super excited to watch those 2 teams play on Monday night.
And they got Martin St. Louis running the stairs while the other team's practicing, almost as like a form of just intimidation. It's like I love it. Martin St. Louis used to be one of my favorite players, but like growing up, man, like that Lightning team you won a cup with, like probably my favorite non-Sabres team ever. Like they were just they're a wagon. Nikolai Habibulin in that, Vincent Lecavier, Brad Richards, Martin St. Louis, just such a John Torts behind the bench. Just a fun team to watch. I agree though. That is going to be a tough test. Is that being played in the Bell Center too?
In Montreal Monday night.
Yeah. So that will be a really, really tough test, no doubt. Any final thoughts from you? I know you got to get out of here shortly, but any final thoughts from you out of this game? Both of these wins and heading into quite a few division games that are going to be very, very important in the standings.
I mean, it feels like we're back. It feels like a team that we're at least optimistic
We're
about
losing
going
you
into the
again,
year.
bro.
Once they've gotten some.
Yeah, we're losing
You
you
hear me?
again. Yeah, much better now.
What do you got? Do you hear me?
We're still a little, we're still a little blurry, but we got you.
All right, let me
So,
get off my Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi is brutal.
While he does,
All right, how about now? You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine. I hear you fine now. Before you sound like a
cool.
fucking cyborg.
I'm gonna figure this out. Technical
Just-
issues to begin the season. Classic.
Yeah. We're working out the rust. Just start from the top.
So yeah, I would say that like everyone's saying we're back. It's easy to say that after 2 wins, but these 2 games are indicative
They're
of the
different.
team that they were optimistic about before the season, right? Like the changes that they made. Obviously, the injuries to begin the year were extremely unfortunate. Even the Josh Norris thing is going to be unfortunate for as long as he's out. But the way that they've been playing and the type of hockey that they've been playing, obviously with the toughness, obviously with the grit, combined with the fact that they have a lot of skill, is the recipe that this team is going to need, combined with, of course, solid goaltending, which they've gotten from Alex Lyon, to get that wild card spot that we all want. It doesn't matter how they do it, but if they get that wild card spot, or even third place in the Atlantic in a division that doesn't necessarily look that strong to begin the year, I really, really believe if the team continues and commits to this style of hockey, they can absolutely do it. If you look at the statistics of the team, this is basically all through 2 games, but they have 6 guys with at least 4 points. Doan's got 5 points. Benson has 5 points. Obviously, 4 assists in 1 game. That helps. Zucker has 4 points. Tuck has 4. Tage has 4. And Dahlin has 4. Those are the 6 guys you really need to come through for your team. We obviously talked about Tage and Dahlin and Tuck, but Zucker, Benson, and Doan, those are character guys. Those are glue guys. Those are guys that have a leadership role. It's crazy to say that 20-year-old Zach Benson has a leadership role, but he leads by example with the way that he plays.
True though.
Yeah, he does. He does lead by
true.
example with the way that he plays. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm really, really excited to watch that game on Monday, see what this team does in a really tough environment. And then yeah, it's gonna be a tough week after that. But thankfully, doom and gloom is a thing of the past, at least from those first 3 games, and they can move forward knowing that they have the confidence to beat good hockey teams, which they've done the past 2 games.
Somebody in the chat that thinks your AI gone wrong.
The
way
I don't know, man. I have bad internet. I pay for the highest speed internet, and sometimes it just doesn't work.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, like I said, we've had me too. I figured out what it was with that echo. The last episode, my echo cancellation was for whatever reason turned off, and that's what caused all of that. So just minor glitches, rust that we got to knock off, to start the season. But hey, Sabres win their 2nd in a row. Florida loses their 4th in a row. I don't care if one team's dealing with the injury bug more than the other. A win's a win. I love it. Can't wait to see how Monday turns out.
A shutout is a shutout.
Yo, straight up, love that for Alex Lyon. Who do you think got the team
shutout? Probably Doan, because Lyon got it last game.
True. So I don't know. I hear they got internet out California way. I don't know what that means, but sure. Listen, what do you understand that?
No, not at all. But if you're gonna chirp me, if you're gonna chirp me, you might as well be grammatically correct.
Yeah, I love it. You can always take the low hanging fruit, the red beard, the red hair. No, he just went for the internet. But hey, how did your game go the other night too? By the way,
just like the Sabres, 8-4 win.
There you go. Any compliments on the gear?
Same night, same night, same score. We were up like 7-1, and it was against a team that's not very good, and everybody just kind of mailed it in the 3rd period, including myself. I've won, I think, 4 in a row recently between
Yeah,
both of my
that's
teams. So feeling good. And yeah, I just got to keep it going. I'm starting to feel it a little bit more now that I'm 33 and a half. But yeah, it's still going well, and I'm going to keep it going for as long as I can.
Yeah, I can't wait to get back on the ice myself. Slowly but surely. Hopefully this time next year, I'll be back playing again. With that being said, this has been brought to you by Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room, with over 300 beers to choose from at 7 different Western New York locations. If you need a beer, make sure you make it a Fatty Beer. Let them know 2 goalies, 1 Mike sent you. I am Duane for my host, Connor Hurley. This has been I'll Hang Up and Listen. Buffalo Sabres win 3-0. Thanks to Alex Lyon and Josh Doan. If you've enjoyed this content, please hit like, subscribe, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, please drop an elbow on that subscribe button and hit the like. Helps us quite a bit with the algorithm. And as always, go Sabres. See you later.